A Christmas dinner needs a suitable centerpiece, and this year we're making the greatest, most memorable thing my brother has ever made for the holidays. So let's jump right into it. You know my brother from such episodes as Grandma's Ricotta Cookies and Sunday Supper Episode 1, and now he's gonna take over getting the ingredients prepped for this recipe.
First, we're gonna mince shallots and slice some garlic.
So we're making a pork tenderloin stuffed with prosciutto, apples, and truffles, which he made for us one Christmas 20 years ago to test on us for his final presentation for the French Culinary Institute before graduating. And it was memorable enough to bring him back 20 years later to make it for all of us. And it starts with mincing 2 shallots and slicing very thinly about a head of garlic. Next, we're gonna take 1.5 Fuji apples, peel the skins off, and cut them into a small dice. And my brother's just gonna cut these large chunks off in quarters and slice them vertically, but that's not a safe way to do it. You should cut them in slices, starting from the outside of the apple, working in like he's doing here. And then just make your way cutting them into a small dice. You don't want them to be too big, otherwise they'll be too chunky in the stuffing. Next up, we're gonna pull about 1/4 cup of thyme, and then give it a rough chop a few times with the knife.
Next, we're gonna saute those ingredients because we need it to cool before we stuff the pork with it.
So get a large saute pan on about medium-high heat. Coat the bottom with a few tablespoons of olive oil and get the shallots in and start to sweat them. Sweating means we want to cook them without getting color. After a minute or two, add in the garlic. Again, we're just going to saute that to get it fragrant. Season all that with salt, and then after a minute or two, we can add the apples. And we're going to cook the apples, tossing them around until they just begin to give off their sugars, and those sugars begin to caramelize inside the pan. Season them with a little bit of salt. And once those sugars caramelize, hit it with some thyme, toss it all together, and then we can get that out of the pot and let that cool in a bowl while we work on the pork. Now this is a pork tenderloin that we're going to butterfly open and flatten out. But pork tenderloins now are sold in these tiny little pork tenderloins. So the recipe is going to call for getting 2 of them, and the stuffing is going to satisfy 2 pork tenderloins. But today we're just going to be making 1 with it. And Dave's gonna show you how to butterfly it.
First off, we're gonna have to clean the pork tenderloin.
Hold on.
First off, there's a membrane here. Kind of pull that. You can pull it with your finger as you go back. See this right there? And then we're just gonna discard that. Next, with the tip of your knife, you're gonna take just a little bit on the tip of the silver skin like that. So we have a little flap here. And then we're gonna take the heel of the knife and we're just gonna kind of let the knife do the work.
And always make sure the knife is angled upwards so you take as little meat off as you can.
Now the pork tenderloin always has this little tapered tail. We're gonna just cut a little bit of that off. And you're gonna run your knife the long way through the pork, but not all the way through. And then once you get to that midpoint, you're gonna look and see, okay, I'm gonna have to take this a little further. But you're not gonna cut with it filleted open. You're gonna take it and you're gonna continue to run it, but not go all the way through.
Now set that off to the side and set up a double layer of plastic wrap.
Lay your pork down on the 2 layers of plastic wrap.
And then another double layer on top.
With a meat mallet, just pound it out thin.
And then flip the whole thing. Continue beating on the other side until it's really nice and evenly flat all around the pork. And it's also a shape that is conducive to rolling into a roulade. Then set that aside, and the apples are now cool enough to finish the stuffing. We're gonna add about 4 ounces of goat cheese, along with about 1 cup of breadcrumbs, and mix that until they all bind together.
Now that this is incorporated, we're gonna stuff the pork.
Now remove that top layer of plastic.
Next, we're gonna line the inside of the pounded pork with prosciutto. And we're not gonna season the inside because the prosciutto's very salty.
Now we're at about half the stuffing. The other half would go into the second pork tenderloin that you would be cooking for Christmas. And we're just gonna spread that out into a nice even log of stuffing. And you want to leave some space on either edge of the stuffing just so you can fold it in nicely so nothing falls out during cooking. Now, what was the topic of the final exam that was based on this recipe?
I got truffles.
So part of the delicious thing about this recipe is the use of truffles. And truffles are not always the easiest to find. So we're going to be using today both fresh and jarred just because we found fresh. So we're going to grate some on top. But for the stuffing, we're going to use this jar. It's a truffle and mushroom sauce. So it's basically a bunch of truffles and mushrooms blended together in an oil. So it's going to give you a really strong truffle flavor without the need to have to go source fresh truffles from some truffle dealer. And if you get a good specialty market, you should be able to get these. You can get them online easily, and they just won't be as expensive or as luxurious as fresh truffles, but they will do the job.
We're gonna take half this jar and we're gonna just kind of add it and we're just gonna kind of hug it up against the stuffing. We want it to be equal with the stuffing line. Next, we're gonna roll it up. So we leave an edge over here of prosciutto and meat so we can fold it over. We're gonna use the plastic wrap as a guide, and we're gonna tuck it under and then take some of the plastic wrap off of it like this, and then we're gonna choke up on the plastic wrap and then fold it over once again, kind of like making sushi. And we're gonna just tuck the ends in, just a touch. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're gonna fold that over again, and then a final roll.
You want that roulade to be nice and tight, and then we can truss it.
Next, we're gonna tie some butcher twine around it, not too tight. We're gonna do 5 of these.
And that's a beautiful pork roulade. I guess this is the year of the roulades on this channel. So what do we do next?
We're gonna sear it.
You're gonna salt it?
I'm gonna salt it and sear it.
Next, what we're gonna do is we're gonna season it with salt, we're gonna sear it, and we're gonna get the port wine sauce cooking. Now for our home cooking, and especially during the holidays, one of the most essential pieces of cooking gear is a good wireless thermometer. And today I'm using the new Tyfer Sync by our sponsor today, Tyfer. Tyfer has developed this user-friendly, innovative wireless thermometer that allows you to effortlessly cook perfect meals at home. And what I don't love about most wireless thermometers is that they rarely offer you both a device base and an app to monitor the cooking process. However, the Sync allows you to monitor the cook on your phone, but it also has a device base with a large screen to allow you to monitor the cooking process directly from the device without the constant need to check your phone for updates. I like to take it with me, lay on the couch, watch some TV while I stare at the temperature of my meat. And you can be sure you're getting an accurate reading because the probes have 6 sensors running throughout them and uses an advanced algorithm to detect the lowest temperature of your food, ensuring that you get accurate data every time. The Sync also comes with 2 probes, so you can monitor 2 cooks at once. For example, using one to monitor the white meat of a turkey and the other to monitor the dark. And the probes are stored and charged in the device base itself. And with the superior stability of the Bluetooth 5.4 technology, you never have to worry about your probes disconnecting in the middle of a cook. You honestly can't in good faith host the holidays without a good wireless thermometer, so head on down in the description and pick up a Tyfer Sync today. So I'm gonna get one of the probes out. I'm gonna insert that into the center of the pork and stick it all the way in, and I'm gonna set the thermometer to 145 degrees, and I'm gonna pull it anywhere between 142 and 145. Now onto the stove in a saucier, we're gonna get our sauce started. So on high heat, Dave adds some butter along with a bundle of thyme, and we're just gonna heat that up and extract some flavor from the thyme. Once the butter's melted, we're gonna add in a bottle of the tawny port, about a cup of the wine, and about 1 quart of the beef stock. The recipe will call for more, but we're making a smaller batch for the video. I'm gonna set that off to a side, bring it up to a boil, and reduce it. While that reduces, we can get the pork seared. We're gonna get a large saute pan on high heat and cover the pan with a generous amount of olive oil. We're gonna get a sheet tray with a wire rack ready to go to throw it in the oven, and once that oil is hot, we're gonna add the pork. You might have to bend it a little depending on how long your pork is to fit the pan, and we're gonna let that cook until we get a really nice sear on that first side. Then we're just gonna turn it, sear another side, and repeat that until we've seared all the sides of the pork extremely well. Then we can transfer it to the wire rack, and then we can throw that into a 350-degree oven, and we can monitor the cook on the Tyfer Sync device, and we just want to pull it until it reaches anywhere from 142 to 145 degrees. Now we're gonna let it carry over cook to around 150 degrees, and while it does, we can finish the sauce. It's reduced by about half now. My brother will just add the cream, about a half cup. He'll remove that thyme bundle, and we're gonna continue to reduce that until it gets really thick and glazy and lots of bubbles start breaking at the surface. And the pork has rested and peaked at 149 degrees Fahrenheit. So the pork is good to go now. Now you can see that sauce is thickened, it's darkened, it's concentrated and gotten thicker. Now we can kill the heat and start to work in cold butter. And the cold butter is gonna thicken it, smooth it out a little bit, and really just finish it off nicely. Check for seasoning and adjust with salt if it needs. And once it coats the back of a spoon, it's ready to go. Now here we have a fresh truffle. Now if you do want to find fresh truffles, let me suggest you a way to do it. And barring any places online that might sell and deliver them to you, you could find a local restaurant. In my case, there's a restaurant in Tuckahoe named Odo that I happen to know the owners.
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
And I know that they have truffles on the menu, and I asked them if I could buy one for them. So we stopped by and picked up this beautiful truffle from them. Now we came for truffles, but I got much more out of this visit than truffle.
So this is
Guanciale.
guanciale caramel? Oh my god.
We caught them in the middle of a very interesting tasting.
Was that the fat just kind of...
And what's this?
Matt's milk ice cream that needs all speaking.
What's this? These are all great. What's your
Yeah.
favorite caramel?
I'm obsessed with the guanciale. Because it's like there's a little bitterness.
Pancetta?
So mixed with the ice cream.
You tried the ice cream with it?
Yeah.
I became fully obsessed with this ice cream and caramel.
I love it.
Then Nick gave us a little how you doing.
Solid.
He let us pick out our truffle, and we let him get back to his business, and that's how you get a fresh truffle.
Nice to meet you.
We're gonna take this and shave truffles on top just for an added decadence to this dish for the holidays. We're just gonna give it a cut in half so we can take a look inside. Now, black truffles are obviously great, but it's white truffle season, so if you can find those, grab them. Now all we have to do is cut the twine off, remove the thermometer, and cut it in half and see how we did. You can have pork be a little blushing like that. So we're gonna cut a few nice slices, and each person's gonna get about 2, and 1 pork tenderloin can serve about 4. Place it on a bed of that beautiful sauce, and then shave some fresh truffles on top. And it's this weird combination of all of these amazing ingredients that come together that makes this pork dish truly memorable to me. It's been about 20 years since the last took this bite. So let's see how it measures up.
Don't hate me if it's not the same.
What made this memorable was that there was a unique flavor going on. And instantly after biting it, that kind of comes back. It's a combination of the goat cheese, the prosciutto, the truffle, the apple, all of those things mixed with the sauce, which is something you probably tasted before. Really just completes this unique stuffed pork dish that's perfect for the holiday.
Who remembers what they ate 20 years ago, right? I don't remember what I did last week.
This recipe is going to be in my holiday plan of attack. It's an ebook linked. Are you going to walk away?
Oh, I thought you were done with me. Sorry.
It's a holiday ebook with me and all my family's recipes in it, linked down in the description, and that's where this recipe will be. That's all that I have today. I'll see you next time. Until then, take care of yourself and go feed yourself.